Shalom, dzień dobry, assalamu alaikum, ciao, konnichiwa, Allah, good morning, bonjour, hola, good morning. It's Ken at 10. How are you today? Hope you're well. If you're joining us for the first time, thanks for coming. If you're coming back, then welcome once more. This is Ken at 10. We're James Alexander Estate Agents based in Norbury, London, SW16, between Streatham to the north, Croydon to the south. We talk about property every day. How are you? Today, we have a special broadcast for you later on. We're going to be uploading. It's not going to be live, actually. We're going to record it because we want to make sure we get all the detail in. And this is about the food bank at the Liberty Food Bank at Liberty Church. And that's why you see the background. We want to raise awareness in the local area that we do have a food bank in Norbury, and we'll be filming from there today to raise awareness and also to raise money for our campaign. Now, it's important to us because we feel like it's a really, really good cause. And this is how it's looking so far. 43% raised of the £3,000 target. Why 3,000? Because that's the amount that gives us enough money to provide hampers for all the needy this Christmas. So we're nearly halfway there. Part of that was contributed by us and many people, lovely people in Norbury from Liberty Church and beyond. So thank you to all of those, both anonymously and in person, that actually donated. Some lovely donations and words on there as well. But I would put out an appeal to all businesses as well and say, look, you know, we're in business, we're doing business, and it's easy to forget while your head's down and you're busy and times are tough. I know that. But could you not give just a small percentage, a little bit? You know, if you're a big business, perhaps a bit more. If you're a small business, perhaps if you could just even contribute, you know, £5 or £10. And mention your business there. You know, people will respect what you've done. You can put it in the list there. Just go online and make your donation. And if you're not sure how to do it, then follow the prompts. We will be singing the praises of the food bank and what you can do to join in and help. You know, that's our appeal this year for Christmas. Let's get on to some property news now. Supply chain crisis to hit cladding issues. So this is one from the Daily Telegraph saying that the global supply chain crisis meant the government will need to find more money to fix Britain's cladding crisis, with a mooted £2 billion tax rise unable to cover escalating costs, experts have warned. This is due to an extreme shortage of labour and materials, which is already causing havoc in Britain's construction and home renovation industries. Well, this is interesting. They reckon that it'll add an extra £1.2 billion to the cost of fixing unsafe blocks, and the money will have to be raised by from somewhere. Many of those costs have already been borne by leaseholders. Some has been refunded, not all. Most leaseholders are finding that it's costly. And it says that the government will fund every eligible application to make the building safety fund, but not all buildings are eligible. And so there are many leaseholders that are seriously out of pocket through this up and down the country. But also, just reading between the lines there, because we have this global supply chain crisis, it will no doubt impact on the number of new homes being built, and we're already massively under due to the coronavirus, the pandemic, and also due to the materials shortage. There is a huge undersupply of property right now in the UK, and that is one of the things that's driving prices forward quite strongly, and we expect that to continue to be so. The Times reports that business rates exemption for green property improvements. And it says Rishi Sunak will introduce business rates exemption for green property improvements, including solar panels and heat pumps, in an effort to encourage investment in making buildings energy efficient. Treasury officials have told businesses to expect the Chancellor to announce new rates relief for investments in plant and machinery that make shops, offices and warehouses greener in today's budget. However, a more radical form of business rates is expected to be delayed, despite warnings of shop closures if the system is not overhauled. Capital gains tax receipts have jumped. Well, that's no surprise on the back of the jump in the market and the stamp duty exemption and people taking advantage of that and the pandemic. According to data compiled by Hayes McIntyre, HMRC receipts from CGT have risen by 62% in the last 5 years. That's from 7.1 billion in 15-16 to 11.5 billion in the last 12 months. It's massive, isn't it? So yeah, lots of CGT coming in on the back of property. And then construction is stalling, says the Financial Times, as shortage of skilled workers bites. The other thing he's talking about is Labour controlled councils taking over after failing property bets in Slough Council. Well, we've seen it happen in Croydon already, and now we see it happens in Slough. You know, the irresponsible squandering of public money goes on. Property experts are lining up to sue online estate agents over employment row. Property experts should be in the quotes there, shouldn't it? Many of the property experts. But yeah, thousands of formerly self-employed workers are preparing to sue online estate agents, including Purple Bricks and Yopa, amid claims that they should have been treated like employees and therefore owed holiday pay and pension contributions, just like the Uber row. Contractors for Justice, acting on behalf of the LPEs, is applying for authority to engage a group litigation order. So it's going to be a class action. Should the bid to sue the estate agent prove successful, the firms could face legal bills in the tens of millions of pounds, lawyers claim. Well, they should employ people properly like other agents have to, shouldn't they? London's council placing of asylum seekers is deemed unlawful. A London council acted unlawfully when placing a child seeking asylum in a hotel pending assessments of their age, the High Court judges concluded. This is by Brent Council. It said they acted unlawfully and unreasonably when deciding to not properly accommodate 3 people. Interesting. There's a first deal for a new infrastructure bank as well. That's not really a particular interest in property, I don't think. The cheapest and most expensive places to buy overseas. It's an interesting one in the Express. Investing Reviews has analysed average wages, average property prices, and the cost of utilities to find the most affordable prices for expats. The research found that property prices rose in many countries around the world, but there was still bargains to be found. Topping the list was India, followed by Turkey and Bulgaria. At the other end of the scale, Luxembourg was found to have the most expensive housing, with Switzerland and South Korea coming second and third. Who knew South Korea was that expensive? The UK was 10th most expensive country for first-time buyers, as rises in property prices have outstripped salary increases. Plan B would harm economy while doing little to thwart virus. There's an article in the Times saying that the fresh restrictions would have a severe economic impact while doing very little to combat the spread of the virus. Interesting, the general market at the moment is busy. What we're finding is that we're getting multiple bids on new instructions. Our strategy of offers over is proving massively successful for our clients in achieving the best possible prices. We currently have 2 properties which have received multiple bids way over the asking price, and we're currently in the process of collating and reporting to the clients to get the very best possible result for them. And it's not always just about the money. You know, we have to check out exactly what the best thing for that particular client is. Sometimes speed comes into this. Sometimes it's about, you know, maybe the client's not in a hurry and would rather go for the maximum possible price. Maybe the buyer is not in the position to buy the house given its condition type and style. Quite often we find people with small deposits are expecting to buy houses with vast dilapidations, and the 2 things just aren't compatible. So we end up in a position where a buyer with theoretically the most money can't actually physically buy because the lender's likely to hold what we call a retention. That means holding back a proportion of the sale price, and by definition of the fact they have a low deposit already, they're unlikely to be able to make up the difference in cash so that that mortgage can go through. So we always look for larger deposits on properties that need work, particularly 25 to 50% or cash buyers. So that can be a reason why you lose out. So if you're thinking of buying a dilapidated property, make sure you've got a substantial cash sum. And if you haven't, and you have the ability, if you're fortunate enough to be able to refinance other assets to get a larger cash sum, it can put you in a much stronger light. You know, if you've got 10% deposit and you're looking to buy a property that's dilapidated, likelihood is your offer will be refused in favor of someone with a higher deposit, even if your offer is higher. So make sure you think about that when you're looking at dilapidated properties. We are in the homes under the hammer generation, I know, where everybody wants to jump on the bandwagon and buy a property that needs work and then show off its wonderfully refurbished condition. But it's not always wise, it's not always profitable, and doesn't work for everybody. So make sure you go in with your eyes open, cost it realistically, and think about your maximum bid before you get overexcited and end up being a busy fool, as we say, where you pay too much for the property, then the rebuild costs are so high that actually you could have bought one considerably better done for less money. It happens, it really does, all the time. If you're thinking of making improvements, as always, we always say this, but it is really important, you know, see us before you do the improvements. There's no obligation attached to evaluation. And just to have a chat through, see what your plans are, because quite often it's not as profitable as you might think. And that might be okay for you. You know, if you're living there for, 10 years, chances are if you're making some improvements, which may well take you out of the average price for the street, that may be okay, and you might break new ground with your pricing, but there will always be a limit depending on what the limit is in your particular street. You know, there'll always be another street perhaps where it's a little bit better, or perhaps the houses are detached, or perhaps the gardens are bigger, etc. So you've always got to think about what is the limit on your road, and that's where you need expert advice, and that's where we come in. So yeah, do get in touch if you're thinking of doing that. We've got some fabulous new instructions coming up as well, right across the board, from first-time buyers right the way through to larger family homes. So if you're looking and you're not spoken to us yet, then do get in touch. And we will be back and publishing another video, as I say, later on today at the food bank, live from Liberty Food Bank. They'll be serving people as they do every Wednesday and looking after the less fortunate amongst us. So please, if you get time, do jump onto whatever channel you're watching now so that you can see what's going on there. And I hope that you can contribute. Just a small amount. We're not asking for a lot of money, even if it's £5, something out of your budget that's affordable to you that might help those less fortunate than you, because we're all busy, aren't we? We're sitting here doing our day to day, and it's easy to think, oh, I'm so focused on this and feeding my family and everything. But there are those that can't feed their families, and we're asking for a little bit of help with that, and we'd be grateful for your help. So that's it for today. Thanks for watching. Stay safe and well. Look after your family and friends. Ciao.